L70 on writing equivalent decimal numbers and cents the right way. I'm re-recording this video because the last time I recorded it, I ran out of disk space, so here we go. You can add zeros to the end of a decimal without it changing its value. That means that 0 and 3/10 is the same thing as 0 and 30 hundredths, or 0 and 300 thousandths. Adding these extra zeros when they're after the decimal place does not change the value of the number. And I believe we've already done this backwards, where we've taken off these zeros and said that they're not needed, that you can simplify by doing that. In this lesson, we're saying we can add them. And you might be asking, well, why would I want to add extra zeros? And the reason is because if you're adding or subtracting decimal numbers, they need to have the same number of place values. Or if you're comparing decimal numbers, we want them to have the same number of decimal values. So here's some examples. Write each number with 3 decimal places, and I've got 12.6. So I'm going to start by just rewriting 12.6. And now this number right now has how many decimal places? Good, 1. And I want it to have how many decimal places? Good, 3. So how many decimal places do I need to add? Yes, 2. And which number can I add here into these spaces in order to not change its value? Good, zeros. So I'm going to add 2 zeros. So now the number has 3 decimal places and the value is the same. 12 and 600 thousandths is the same thing as 12 and 6/10. Go ahead and do this one on your own. All right. Now, if I was going to compare decimals, then I need to annex or add zeros to give them the same number of place values. So here we have our first example. It says to compare these numbers, and I chose this one because we already did it up there, so it should be really easy for you to figure out. And we're going to, the first step is always to write the numbers vertically and line up their decimal places. So we got 12. And now I'm going to annex or add in zeros so that way they have the same place value. And now I can see which of these numbers is greater. Right, neither of them. They are the same, so they are equal to each other. All right, what about example E? So my first step, remember, is to write them vertically and line up their decimal places. So I've got 0.5. And then I have 0.05. My second step is to annex or add in zeros till they have the same place value. So we're going to the hundredth spot. And now I'm going to compare these decimal numbers as whole numbers. So this reads 50, and this is just 5. 0.5 is 5. So is 50 or 5 bigger? Right, the 50 is, which is the 5/10. Okay, so for F and G, I want you to try those on your own. The important thing is to line up the decimals and then annex your zeros. All right, let's talk about writing cents. So 50 cents can be written 2 ways. It can be written as the number of cents, which would be 50 with the symbol cents. Or it can be written as the number of dollars. So 50 cents is $0, and it's then half of a dollar, which is 0.50. So both of these are correct. Now, what would not be correct, and sometimes we will see this written this way, is 50 cents. Okay, this is actually saying 50, like half of 1 cent. So 0.5 of 1 cent. That's not what we want at all, right? We want 50 whole cents, not half of 1 penny. So let's look at some examples with that. So we have write each number in cent and dollar form. So the first one says 5 cents. So I'm going to write 5 cents like this. And then I'm also going to write it as dollar form, which is 0.05. Okay, go ahead and do I on your own. If both forms are in the same problem, first you need to rewrite them so they are in the same form, and then you're going to write your answer in the dollar form. And that's because usually money is written in the dollar form, especially if you're finding a sum of it. So let's look at this one together. So we have solved. We have 1.56 plus, and now I'm going to take 75 cents and make it into dollar form, which basically is moving the decimal 2 places. Should have drawn it like that. Okay, so I've got 0.75, and my answer. Okay, so my answer is $2.31. Now notice what happened with my decimal place. Right, these numbers were lined up and my decimal came right down into my answer in that same spot. All right, try K on your own. So for this one, you will want to write $1, and then you will want to subtract 13 cents from it. You're going to rewrite 13 cents as the amount of $1 that is, and then you'll subtract them. All right, for L, we have 8 times 65 cents. So in this one, I wrote 65 cents as the number of dollars, which is 0.65, and I multiplied that 0.8 times 8, and then I moved my decimal place in 2 spots from the right, and so my answer is $5.20. Go ahead and try M, N, and O on your own. I think you'll find that the best way to do is to take your cents and make them into dollars when you add up, which is just moving that decimal place over twice. All right, so go ahead and get to work, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.